like my brain was not there. But it
No
didn't happen
way.
again.
How
It
did it go?
worked out.
Thanks, Ashley. It went good. We actually were a final. We were finalists. I was not thinking about participating. I will just participate if I find a really cool refi project, and I didn't for the first day. I was just kind of like chilling Giveth, but then I found someone that was working on something really interesting, and I kind of like helped him out, and we ended up winning some prizes and presenting for Vitalik. It was funny.
Congrats, it was super great. I'm super proud of you. I think that for me it was my favorite project. I think that's super important for like the Mexican violence context. So congrats, friend.
Thank you so much, Almond.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm here. I made the agenda and I put a link in the headquarters channel. I can also put a link in the chat here. So feel free to add anything there if you want. We'll just touch on some things from last week as well as a couple things that have come up this week. And so I guess we can go ahead and get started with intentions and distractions. My intentions for the call to sync up with everybody, get more of like a regular flow going for this call. Yeah, and just go through the agenda. I also want to see if I can find replacements for the next couple calls. So that's a thing on the agenda here. And I think that's really it. And I don't have any distractions other than it feels so early all the time here. And I will pass it to Kapawe.
Thanks. Well, my intentions is to also like put fully my brains back into give it 100%. I have no distractions. I'm fully focused into this again in here. I'll pass it to Almond.
Thank you. My intentions for this call is to think and to fully try to fully immerse in community, because I know that Ashley is going to be out. So I really want to think and try to help with whatever I can before Ashley is leaving. And I have no distractions. And I will pass it to Giant King.
GM, everyone. Great day today. I do have I think I have a hard stop today for the One Give meeting. I think that's today. And I'm trying to make sure I keep up and discuss what we can. Somebody was mentioning that the Discord was hard to navigate, and I don't know if it's a good thing to discuss on this one or a different one. But anyway, I will pass it to Jake.
Thanks, Giant Ken. For me, intentions, just kind of listen up and also discuss one of the GitHub issues that I just put up that would be pertinent to this group. Distractions, I don't have any, so I will pass it along to Benz.
Hey, thanks. Intentions for this call, touch base, see what's going on. Haven't been on in a little while. And I'm going to be traveling for the next couple weeks, so I wanted to make sure that there's anything I had to make sure it got taken care of before that, because I'm going to be less consistent being on these for the next couple weeks, and then I hope to get back into it a little more. So I'll pass it to Franco.
Thank you, Vince. Hi, everyone. My intention for the call is kind of the same as Salmon, sync up and try to see where I can help while Ashley goes to the Burning Man and has a great time there. And yeah, no distractions today. I'm here and I'll pass it to Ahmad. I think you're the last one.
Oh yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, my intentions are to catch up with everyone here. I'm honestly still trying to get in sync with this group since I recently joined this group. So yeah, like I want to see how I can help out. I did write one thing that I want to talk about, which is fixing the categories on the website. So maybe that can be something that we discuss together. And I'm not distracted. I think Jess didn't go, right?
Awesome. All right. Yeah, I think that's everybody. Looks like we got everybody. Thank you all for being here. So let's hop into the agenda. As came up in a lot of your check-ins, I will be out for the next two Communitas calls. So this call, the community building sync call, I'll be gone the 30th and September 6th, and also for the orientation or AMA calls on August 31st and September 7th. So if there's anybody in this call that feels like they would want to step up and facilitate these calls while I'm gone, let me know and I can put your name down. I think Nicola or Claire also might be interested in doing some of at least the orientation one. So I think the orientation should be easy to get coverage on. It's more so like these two community building syncs. So I don't know if anybody wants to step up and do that now within the call, or let me know within the next couple days and I can make sure that I can get your name down.
I could potentially do it, but I feel that I am kind of like covering a lot of ground. So if someone else also wants to raise your hand, that would be good.
Yeah, and I know you're doing a lot, Kataka, so don't feel responsible to do that. And I'm willing to kind of run whoever through it beforehand, or like we can have a sync call before I go, just so you feel confident in what might need to be done. And I guess if we don't find somebody, then we just cancel them for while I'm gone and pick them back up when I come back, which also wouldn't be the end of the world. So I think I'll just let it sit here. Feel free to put your name down, and I'll check in with you guys probably tomorrow or the next day, and we'll get it finalized whether it'll be facilitated by somebody else or whether it will be canceled for that week. All right. Moving on, Jake, I think you put this here, the partnership program pitch deck. This was the GitHub issue that you were talking about. Did you want to speak to this a little bit?
Yeah. So Ahmad and I have been talking, and we think it'd be a good idea to do this partnership program pitch deck. And so I created a GitHub issue and kind of put up there, and I hyperlinked to it, Ash, if you want to go to it at all. But looking for just comments and insights into what I kind of pitched for the pitch deck. I think it'd be a good thing to have kind of a template moving forward. By no means what I put in there, it's like this is not the final say as if this person or organization becomes a Giveth partner, but it might just be good to have something written down as to what we can offer and then what we would expect in return for a mutually beneficial partnership. I know from my outreach over the first couple months here and trying to get like the donor survey up on some of our partners, they were some a little hesitant, some didn't even really know that we were partners, lost connections over time. And so I'd like to just take it on myself as relations and outreach to ensure that our partnerships stay in good standing, as well as moving forward. We have a roadmap as to what we can offer and again, what we would expect in return. And they're kind of, just small lists. So if there's anything anybody wants to add to that list or wants to offer suggestions on how that roadmap should play out, please go to the GitHub issue and kind of let me know your thoughts on that. And again, it's not a final say as to, okay, you have to check off these 5 things to become a partner, but I think it's really nice since we do create templates and forum posts to have something at least in writing that we can use to build on.
Yeah, I think this is a good idea. At least we just have like something, at least like a skeleton, that we can build off
Yeah.
of. I do think that it's not a one size fits all thing for different partners and stuff, so it's kind of like a case by case basis, but it's nice to have somewhere to start and at least, yeah, some of these things as like an outline.
Yep. Exactly what I was thinking. And so any suggestions, comments, offers, please go to the GitHub issue or even DM me on Discord, and we'll just kind of put it together and see if it helps or if it's just something we put together.
Yeah, I wonder also if, I mean, it's great to have this as a GitHub issue, but I wonder if maybe once we get some more advice or ideas in here, if it doesn't become a forum post, and that way we can get more broad advice or feedback or ideas from like the greater community. I just feel like not so many people will see it in GitHub versus like in the forum.
Okay. I'll start here and kind of just gather and then absolutely take it to the bigger display.
Yeah, just to make a small comment on this, I think like it serves two purposes. So the first one is it formalizes these partnerships in a way where they really feel like they're getting something out of it. So like it keeps things consistent, number one, and it also gives us something that we can get from them as well. So it's not just only us offering them things, but it's also things that maybe they can provide for us, like mentioning us on social media, for example. And then like the other benefit is just it makes being a partner of us like a no-brainer. Like if they read that, they'll say, wow, like I get all these benefits and it's super easy. And yeah, like there's no downside for me becoming a Giveth partner. Yeah, like as opposed to us like trying to like beg someone to join us. I mean, instead it's like showing them like look at all of these things that you get for becoming a partner. So like that's the idea behind it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, let's keep collecting ideas in there, and then once we've got some like internal ideas and stuff, maybe we make a more formal forum post. And I mean, eventually, I guess this is something we could even add to the partnerships page. I would just caution that whatever we do put on there, we can't, we want to overpromise and or we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. We'd rather like underpromise and overdeliver. So let's just keep that in mind so that we're not promising people stuff that we can't follow through on.
Yeah, and we definitely don't want to make it concrete where it's not flexible, and that's not the part of it either. Like you were saying, Ash, is like it's going to still be a one-on-one and case by case, but I think it really helps anybody on the partnership team have some tools in their tool belt instead of just maybe freeballing or guessing what we can offer. That's kind of real, like Ahmad was saying, one of the purposes is just so everybody has something to review, use it as a skeleton, and has some tools in their belt.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, thanks for putting that together and doing the work.
Yep.
All right, let's jump to the next thing here. We had our GPS. Let's put this here. GPS roadmap and management plan. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. Um, kind of does, I guess. Here's the YouTube link to the last session that we did with Katabe, and the mural board that we were working on. I'm gonna pass it to Katabe so you could talk a little bit more about how this went. I missed the end. I had to jump early, and I wasn't sure. Are you going to schedule a second session, or what's the next steps?
Thanks, Ashley. And thanks for bringing it up again. Yes, we're going to schedule a second session. I will make a doodle for it. I think the session went really good. At least I had a really warm feeling about it. I think there was a really good engagement from everyone, and um, I love the rebranding from KPI to GPS. For those that weren't there, which probably is Katia, and I'm not sure, Giant King probably, and Benz. So GPS is Giveth progress signals, and it's just a way to measure how good we are moving towards our goals. So we don't want to make we don't want to make it so corporate. We just want to have these feedback signals so that we can accomplish our goals faster and help more projects getting to where they want to go. So that's basically it. You can go to the video if you want to watch it. You can go through the morale if you want to see what we worked on. What I did last week, well, like what I did actually today was kind of like, so from the things that were added on, just put a few comments. So on things that we will need to kind of like dig deeper. I think the post-its that Matt made with some other GPS are really good, and we just want to, we just need to now find a way on how to measure that. But it's important to take into consideration, as well as other things that people have added. So I will work a little bit on it, and then also start a doodle for the second session.
Okay, great. Am I muted?
I
Hold on.
think,
Okay.
yeah, and just the last part was basically a little bit of kind of like wrapping up, and just sharing a little bit like emotionally how did we feel after it. And I think that in general it was good and helpful for most people. And if I'm missing something, someone please jump in here. But yeah, that will be my summary and next steps.
I
Yeah.
think that also one suggestion would be with regarding this session and the proposal that Jake just posted on the GitHub. I really think that this could be potentially a work that can be built together in the sense that building the GPS can also build the Giveth partnership program pitch deck in a more clear way. So I don't know, maybe just one suggestion would be that in the next session of GPS, maybe add a section in which we could go together into the partnership offering for the communities with the different groups of the working groups that we have. I would just like to suggest that.
Alman, that was spot on. And also, Katya mentioned and is working a little bit on a donor pitch deck that will create a GitHub issue and then probably move to a forum issue later this week. And that's something that we can also bring into the GPS. So thanks for mentioning that. And then also, Kotabe, I want to continue working with you directly because I've already started kind of developing some KPI ideas in addition to the mural for donor relations specifically with a mod. So you and I can kind of talk offline about the next session and where I can get involved even more since, as Alman mentioned, and Katya and I have seen and Ahmad have seen, and where the donor, the partnership, and even project GPSs can fall into this. So very spot on.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I also added on the agenda, I think it's down a little bit more, the Philanthropy 101 thing that Katya was talking about in the channel. So we'll get to that in the agenda as well. The one thing I did want to bring up is I felt like at the last session, by the time we reached our 60 minutes mark, we were like really deep in it, and a lot of us had to jump. And so I'm curious if maybe we don't plan for a 90-minute session this time.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea too. I think that's a great idea.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that. It was really good, and I learned a lot. Next on the agenda here, I have the DWork check-in. Just wanted to see the vote. I think it's still up. It hasn't quite passed, but it's set to pass. So if you haven't voted yet, you can do that here. Follow this link. It's regarding this budget forum post that Kotabe made. I know we talked about it in governance and everything, so I don't know that we need to really go too much into the budget itself, but I'm curious, like, what other things we might need to do to get it like more smooth and running. I know I have a couple bounties that I would like to add, and so what's the next steps going forward here? Do we have the channels configured the way that we want for Discord? Yeah, so where are we on this?
Yes, thanks. So it's in a MVP version, so it works well. Right now, I already fixed most of the channels, but I will be doing a lot of more configuration on the work because there's still a lot of best practices that we're not following. But Ashley, if you or anyone has some bounties that you want to start creating, there is I'll, I'll I'll add it here into the agenda, but there is a link for which is called the bounty suggestions, and it goes into a private board, so it's not people cannot see it, and it's to start discussing the bounties inside the DAO before posting it into the public board. So I'll add a link there. And I don't know, is that clear, or does anyone has any other questions or suggestions?
I think that's clear for me. I mean, for now, until I click the link and see what I need to do next, and I'll just go through the flow. I think it will be helpful for me to understand a little better once I'm actually pushing buttons and doing the things. But I want to make a bounty. I've got somebody who's interested in doing a project interview in Spanish, so I think that'd be really cool to try to test out the community bounty thing that way. So yeah, once you add the link, I'll check it out, and if I have any more questions, I'll touch base with you. I don't know if anybody else had questions on this topic.
And meanwhile, I'll tell you, like, the normal flow is going to be like people will be able to post a bounty suggestion anytime, and on the governance call on Mondays, we're going to go through them, and we're going to if there's one that needs to be fast track, we can vote inside the governance call, and if not, we will also, like, the ones that we have, we can also post them into a forum post and go through the more kind of like long process. We're going to be learning a lot once we start doing it, but basically that's the flow that we have softly agreed on.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, I'm down to help test and create the flow.
Yes.
All right. Next up, we've got category pages for the website. I think this is what Ahmad was talking about. Did you want to speak to it?
Yeah, I can discuss this. So this was an issue that was in my inbox for a while, and I think it kind of got lost and forgotten a bit by us. Like the idea basically is the dev team wanted to simplify the categories on the website. So they wanted input from us and the Connect working group to basically figure out what is the best way for us to structure this. So yeah, like basically they just wanted feedback on what are the top categories that we should add. And also, I think it would make sense if each of these categories has a blurb. So like a one or two sentences that talk about what that category is about. That would also help with rankings on Google, and like just in general, like it would make it more appealing for people to learn what is that category about. So yeah, so I mean, this is a big issue because there's a lot of people involved. Like it has to go from design to the dev team and all that. But basically, yeah, like I just wanted to bring it up again here before it's forgotten about, because if you go to the very bottom, they actually started working on this. And like I think no one from like the Connect working group or like any of us now are involved in it. So I think it would be useful if we do get involved again and give our feedback from the point of view of the project side and the donor side. So like just to say like what are our recommendations?
All right. Yeah, I see there's a lot of discussion, and this goes back. This has been up here for about 6 months, it seems. It looks like Melody did do some work with them, but she's not here anymore. It also looks like our current categories won't be changing. They will just become subcategories under main categories. So I guess the next steps for it would just be us going into the issue and leaving our feedback there, or do you think that we should have some sort of a call or a session to discuss it as a group?
Yeah, so if you go to the very, very bottom, like the very, very bottom here, they actually made an issue in the DApp planning board. So if you click on that, you'll see like they actually started implementing it. But the thing is, they don't like know what content they should put, I don't think. So I think like the main thing would be number one is for us to give feedback on do we like these categories or not, or would we add like a couple of them. So for example, today I think Jake found that they didn't have like an animal category, for example. So like that would be one example of one that we might want to add. So that's the first thing is just make sure that we like the categories. And then number two is I think we should do a small write-up for each of these categories. So each of these categories should have at least one or two sentences that we write about.
Mhm. Okay.
So I
Yeah,
mean,
that
to
makes
start, we could maybe start with the Google
originally,
Doc, maybe. Yeah.
yeah, a Google Doc might be a good place to start. So basically just like one or two sentences for each of the subcategories, or are we talking just for the main categories?
I'm not sure exactly how they're structuring it. I mean, probably even the subcategories would make sense.
Okay. I think that these were originally based off of the SDG goals when we first launched Giveth, like the MVP. So just to give some context there, I do think that this is a good idea because our categories, like it's just crazy, the amount that we have, and so I'm glad that we're working on this. It seems like there's a lot to take in this call, so I will have to like review these issues, and anybody else can go ahead and go in and leave feedback and get involved as well. But yeah, maybe a Google Doc is a good place for us all to collaboratively work on that. So I can create a Google Doc and just link it in the issue.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. I think it's also important just to state that moving forward, on the roadmap, we have what we're working towards called causes, and we'll have cause pools. So I think that as we move forward with these categories, it's good to keep in mind that at some point we'll be pretty cause focused, and our categories should also kind of reflect that. I don't think that it's something that we need to be really rigid about right now, but it's just something to keep in the back of your mind. Did anybody have any other questions about this or anything that they wanted to say? All right. Well, I'll make the Google Doc, I'll link it in there, and we can provide our feedback and touch base on this again next week or whenever I get back. Whenever works. All right. Next up, Share. I'm working with Share right now to get the data over. So they will have basically all this information. Instead of it being Shapeshift, will be Giveth. I've got a Notion board going where I'm going to start putting some tasks and just kind of messing around with that. in the meantime, for our working group contributors, so for the active Communitas working group contributors that want to be a part of this, it will be here, team structure. If you could just fill out this form that's linked here, then we can get you in there and signed up as we move forward. So if you haven't filled this out, I think Jake has, Claire has, and one other person has. But if you haven't filled it out, Raynard, and Katabe did as well. So there's a couple of people who have filled it out, but if you haven't and want to be involved in the onboarding process of new contributors and testing out this new tool, then please fill out this form. You can find it right here. Yeah, did anybody have any questions about Share or need more context on what it is? Okay. Fundraising 101 recording. This was something, oh, Ben's is here. I'm glad you're here to check in on this. And I don't think that this is like the end of the world if it doesn't get done, but it was something that we talked about, maybe adapting this video that we recorded of the fundraising 101 recording and just making a video that we can add to our project 101 video course. Ben's, I made an issue here and assigned you, but you said that you might be able to help out with the editing part.
Yeah, I was just updating that issue on GitHub actually. So I have the file, like just a rough version ready to look at. It's not that rough. I mean, it's just kind of cut out some of the technical difficulties and just put the slides in kind of separated from the audio. Or did use the audio but put it over the slide deck rather than the like live footage from the meeting. So if you want to take a look at that, it's like a half-hour long, so I guess don't feel like you have to watch it all. But yeah, it's ready. I think maybe put like an intro or something on it, but it should be pretty close. Just kind of need to finalize it.
Look at that today and leave some feedback in the issue. Do you think this is something that we could have finished before you take off traveling?
Yeah, so I'm leaving today, but I'll still have my computer and still be in touch. So if it's something minor, I added the Camtasia file as well. So that's there, but
Okay. Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly what the status is on the Project 101 course. I don't know that they're like ready to publish it yet, so I don't think that you should worry too much or stress out too much about getting it finished because I think there's still quite a bit of work that needs to be done for the other videos. I'll look at it
yeah,
today and some feedback.
yeah, thanks.
And then on the fundraising 101 thing, Kotabe, have you had a chance to talk with Danny and maybe coordinate for the next one?
Yes, I talked with Danny, but she's going to Burning Man. So I think let's skip August. And then I also was thinking kind of like the GPS is going to give us direction, pun intended. And kind of like, so I wanted to go to see kind of like where is that guiding us before doing extra efforts in there. But I do want to retake it. I do believe it is important, and at least I want to focus energy on kind of like helping projects become better at fundraising. So it's still there, just kind of like I think it's next month is going to be better.
Yeah, I think so too with Burning Man and everything. Okay. Well, I'll just leave it here and we'll touch on it again next time. All right. The CRM, I think this is kind of more of a like a PSA. If you haven't started using it, myself included, you can upload any contacts, donors, projects, partners, and Jake can add you if you aren't on there. You can just send him your email. He could do a tutorial. Jake, was there anything else you wanted to add?
I was thinking about singing the song Lonely, Oh So Lonely, because I did look and yeah, it's just a PSA. If there's anything anybody needs to get up there, I did see that Kotabe, you and I reached out to Bankless Academy. So that's like a perfect reason to use the CRM, is just so that there's no cross communications there, and not picking on Kotabe and not pointing it out, just showing an example of good times of why we use the CRM. So that's it.
That's true. That's perfect. I promise I will join your loneliness on the CRM this week.
Thank you.
Right. Updating the Discord guide. Claire is working on this and she's on vacation right now. But I know I've seen her in the document making some changes in there. So we should have a newly updated Discord guide coming soon. So keep an eye out for that. You can find the link to the old one here. Yeah, not much more for that. And then here, this is the crypto philanthropy thing that Tropical Mango was talking about in the headquarters channel. Wants to put together kind of like a slide deck or presentation that could maybe be taken to like crypto meetups or like different grassroots events locally and be presented, or just some resources for these types of situations. Did you want to talk about it a little bit more, Katya?
Yeah, sure. You nailed it. That's the idea. It's to go a little bit more grassroots. Because when Jake and I were chatting, he's already got the donor relations side with the Web3 and the leaderboards and the influencers and the people in the space he's reaching out to. So I felt like, okay, what could I bring to the table? And I thought, okay, well, there's a lot of like local meetup groups that do crypto, that for digital nomads, for entrepreneurs, for nonprofits. So it's kind of like tapping into their communities and seeing if there's a possibility. So I've messaged just some ones I'm in to see if that would be a possibility. And if not, then I'm thinking I'll just put out my own meetup and see what the interest is. So that's kind of the idea behind it, because I think there are people already interested in crypto, but they just don't even know this is a possibility. And that was my case. I had no idea this, like, something so awesome was happening, like crypto for good. I didn't know this was like a niche within crypto. So that's one thing. And then the thought process behind it is, if this works, then I'm keeping track of like the messaging I'm sending and the how I started on the spreadsheet, but actually, Jake, I'll switch over to that HubSpot. And then it could be something that we all do with our own local communities. Like there's going to be a sort of like a path for it and a template you can follow. So that's hopefully, fingers crossed, where it gets to. But for now, it's just testing it out and trying it out for a month and seeing what happens. And yeah,
Yeah.
open to any feedback or suggestions or anything on that. And I did put it in the Communitas channel. So yeah, it's called Communitas Headquarters. So it's in there too if you want to take a read. And that's it.
I really like what you're working on, Katya. I think it's very cool that we can all chill Giveth in our own way, in our own communities, and just let know people about this. Because yeah, since 2017 I was exploring the crypto space, looking for something like Giveth, and it took me a long time to really find it. So I think that there might be a lot of people that are also looking for something that might be similar, and just getting to know it. it's gonna be great. I'm trying to do it also in my own community. I did it. That's why I went to Eat Mexico partly. And with Iron Hack, I'm making kind of like webinars, and I'm trying to do this. But I think it's amazing if we can all do it wherever
Mm-hmm.
we are. If we can all kind of like try to pitch in and grow the movement. And I mean, we don't have to push people to this, but just show them that
Mm-hmm.
this exists. I think that will be great.
Yeah. And it's such a like emerging thing, you know, because it doesn't exist, and really like people have been so burnt by scams, or they're just sick of the get rich they don't realize that there's this whole other side to it too. So yeah, thanks, Kasabi. And I think it could be maybe the impact won't be as big as if we got like, you know, how we were talking and you were saying like, imagine Vitalik gave a shout out, like that would be amazing. Of course, like that is so huge. Maybe this would be like on a smaller scale, but once we kind of get a little repeatable process, then it could scale on a grassroots level, and then we could get momentum, and then I think those big guys might be more interested and more curious about us. Well, anyways, hopefully that's the thinking.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I really appreciate what you're doing too, because I'll reflect a little bit like what Katabe said. And, you know, for me, even just coming back to Seattle and being here around like my friends groups and like people who really don't know much about crypto, and they are very like turned off of these different ideas, like you say. And it's so difficult for me to try to explain to people what it is that we're doing or what I'm doing. And by the time I said one paragraph, it's like eyes are glossed over. So I think it's great that we'll have some of these maybe more easily digestible resources for us to show people. And I think that we can start, I will start too to collect maybe some of the resources that already exist. I know I've seen Danny Bell do quite a few different talks at like local events in Costa Rica, or different, you know, just like retreat kind of things around Web3. So I know she's got some slide decks that she's used, and I know Griff has some that he's used and stuff like this. So I will try my best to collect some of these resources, and I don't know if I put them in a Google Drive folder or link them here in this agenda or just send them directly to you. What would be a good way to collect some of these resources that already exist?
Do we have like that's a really good question. Do we have like a central repository for Giveth? Like, you know, normally when I work with businesses, like they'll do, but this is like Web 2. So I'm asking like, what do we have? Because we're Web 3. But normally it's like a Google Drive, right? Where all the marketing assets are, like logos, videos, stock photos. Do we have something like that?
We have a repository in GitHub that has like design assets and stuff. And then we also have a Google Drive. Let's see. These are community. Like, there's so much old stuff in here.
Do you think there's like a Web3 version of Google Drive? Because I remember that conversation we had, and you were saying, you
Yeah.
know, we should support Web3 tooling. And I'm like, totally. And I don't know if it's called file share or I don't even know, but I think there is like a Web3 version of Google Drive, which would be cool for us to kind of start shifting to, or at least, you know, showing some support to other Web3 projects.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go through this Google Drive and see what I can find in here. Honestly, I think that the resources that I'm looking for or talking about are going to be saved on these people's local computers. Like, I think Griff has his slides saved on his laptop. I think Lauren the same, and Danny the same. So I can look into a place like a central place where we can store these. And even if it's just the Google Drive for right now, I agree that we should look into more of a Web3 Google Drive.
That'd be cool. And Jake already sent me one deck, but it would be cool to take snippets and just see the different ways of presenting, because Griff might have his own style and then Lauren might have hers, and it might, you know, I could take little tidbits from each one and
Yeah,
even
exactly. And
right?
if we have all these at our disposal, then we can kind of do with it what we want and curate for that specific type of like meetup or whatever kind of audience that we anticipate speaking to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like this. I'm also starting, like I made one presentation already for Iron Hack, and I will do a couple of more presentations in the next weeks, and it will be nice to have somewhere to just have all that information together. I think Griff sent me once some presentations in English and in Spanish from him and Lauren, and so I can also help collect and gather the data. So if you put the link to the drive, Ashley, I will also add some things, including my own presentation.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look at that today and see what I can't come up with, and then we can all just start adding stuff to it.
Yeah, and Katya, if you want to look into this kind of like new Web3 tooling for uh, cloud information sharing, that will be great. Like, there's no hurry, but if at some point you want to champion that transitioning, that will be awesome.
You know what I'm thinking? Like what I do for clients is like I'll normally have like again, Google, this is Google, so we got to get off Google, but I'll do like a spreadsheet and I'll have like a central repository of tools. And I think that would be really handy for Giveth. So like where's our data storage link? Where's our, and you kind of start listing all the tools so you have it all in one place, because eventually we might, I don't know if we're paying for any of the tools we're using, but that's really helpful as a business when you're like, oh, I forgot I was paying for that subscription and we're not even using it, you know? So that's something I don't want to keep supporting Google because I want to move away from it. But for now, put the concept in Google. And then when we find something better, switch it to the Web3. Because like, Ashley, remember that Calendly thing you did that was Web3?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I brought up here, I think you guys, I'm still sharing my screen, but this is a document that Mia made a long time ago, and it was her just like learning and creating a document around that. But here, and it has like a list of some of the tools that we use, the DAOs, the scheduling meeting times and stuff. So I think this might be kind of what you're looking for, and feel free to update it. I think the last time it was updated was like 2021. Yeah.
That's
So
exactly it. That's the concept right there. That's really good.
I put a link in the chat. Okay. Tool repository.
Notion
Cool.
too. So
Yeah, and it's in Notion, which I think is a pretty good tool. I don't know. Is Notion centralized?
I think so, but I like it too. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it is centralized, actually.
Okay, I always thought it was open source, but maybe not. Okay, let's go back to the agenda here. Okay, the Communitas Manifesto. I haven't looked to see if there's any new comments over the past couple of days. I don't see any comments. But yeah, this is a document that I think Rainer's pretty set on doing some adaptation for this working group. I think that if we all have some bandwidth or some time to go in and just kind of like leave some comments about what we want, how we want to adapt this manifesto. This was basically created for the TEC Communitas working group, which is kind of what this working group was loosely based off of or leveraged off of. So I think like it should be pretty easy to adapt this document. And also, I don't think that we should use a lot of our team resources or bandwidth in redefining what our working group is and the goals and the mission and everything. Like it all seems pretty easily adaptable, and I think that the GPS session will help shine a lot of light in on what our goals and missions are as a working group, and then we can kind of go from there. So this isn't really too important right at the moment, but let's keep this document living. And if you have some space or some time, go in and maybe add some comments. And in the meantime, we'll finish our GPS sessions and see where that gets us, and then try to, you know, uh, adapt the two together or put the two together. And then there's just these two forum posts left that Rainer has put up. We talk about them in governance as well. I know he just put a summary on this post, and he's not really here to talk about it, but there's so much discussion happening in here and how we can reward projects outside of the givebacks program, or what that could look like. Give forward, soulbound NFTs. There's a lot of different discussions going on in here. But Rainer's not here to really talk to it, so unless there's something that somebody wanted to discuss here in this call around it, I don't think we need to go into it too much, and same with the project ranking. See if I can find the right one. So yeah, get in the forum if you want to get involved in the conversation there. And I think that once Rainer's back from Burning Man and most of the team is back from Burning Man, we will get a little bit heavier and try to create some action items in how we can implement some of these ideas. That's what I've got on the agenda. Is there anything else that I missed or that we should talk about from check-ins?
Well, I want to bring something to everyone's attention. I want to congratulate Jake. I see that the vote is cast to pass about your role proposal, so I think it's a great space for congratulations, Jake. You're doing a great job.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're on track. As long as there's not a major hurricane of no votes, we'll be there.
Congrats.
Yeah, congrats, Jake. Yay. Oh, I see here, Giant Kid, did you want to talk a little bit about the Discord?
We could. Just somebody brought it up that they were having trouble navigating the Discord, and my suggestion back to them was actually log in as an alt and see what it is for the public first before you make any major changes. I think that was Markup.
Yeah, John Kin, it was Marco, and I kind of jumped in a little bit and just agreed with him in the aspect of it. Sounds like the Discord left side scroll has changed a little bit. There used to be more groupings of communities, and now it seems like there's a couple one-offs, and I think that's what Marco was trying to say, was that it's a little bit lengthy and harder to navigate than prior. So I that's what I read into what his comments were.
Yeah, that's what I did too. But it also depends on the roles that you have. The more roles you pick, the more you see.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is when we did this whole Discord overhaul, that the complaints that we were getting were that it was so overwhelming to come into our Discord because there was so much, and that we should have these roles so that the users can choose which sections they see and which sections they don't see, so that it's not so overwhelming. And then once we implemented that, it was like, okay, well, now contributors need to go back and add these roles, and they're not seeing the sections that they need to be able to see. So recently I opened them up to Unicorn. So if anybody who is a contributor or an active Givether is now can see all of the different groups. So maybe that's what happened. Maybe once I changed that, then Marco was like, whoa, what happened? Why did it all get opened up? But it was because people were having hard time finding the channels that they needed to be in as contributors. And so I kept it like, non-contributors, they have different sections, they can open it up with their roles, but as soon as you're an active contributor, I think it's important that you can see the governance, if there's something that needs to be voted on. So it's this happy medium so that everybody can feel included and also aware of what's going on. And it's not the intention to be overwhelming at all. I don't know. I wonder, I guess we just keep an ear out, and if people have suggestions on how we can make it better, we can talk about that. I don't know. Does anybody have any ideas on how we could do it better?
Something came up to my mind right now. Well, first is that no one is going to be always happy. Like it's tricky, but maybe yeah. Since this was like maybe Markov was kind of like happy with what he was seeing, so maybe we could create another tag for contributors that do want to see kind of like everything, like, I don't know.
Well, it sounds like we should change back so that the unicorn don't see everything and they choose. Of course, the other problem is he's one of the moderators, so he sees everything because of that too.
Yeah, so that wouldn't change it for him then.
Right.
The unicorn.
Okay.
And I think you're spot on, Kotabe, is like you're not going to please everybody. So it's one of those probably needs to be up for a vote again, kind of to see if this is one person speaking for the entire team or a very small minority that's just kind of what you have to deal with.
But
Yeah.
changing it back from the unicorn so that they don't see as much and making it their choice again might be better. Maybe.
Right, but then what about when there's like something in the governance channel and people need to know, like it's difficult. It's difficult because if you tag unicorn in governance and you're not open to that, then you're not going to see that tag and you're not going to know that there's something that needs your attention. And I think it's hard to find this and keep everybody happy. I will send a message to a DM to Marco and see if he has any suggestions on what we could do better.
Can I make a quick little recommendation or suggestion from when I came in? I felt the same way. I especially because I'm still new to this world too. But maybe what we could do, which I've seen other channels do, is say, like right from the start on the onboarding, I know you guys say, hey, click this if you want to see these things. But maybe we could say these are the recommended like ones we do for if you're looking to raise crypto funds or if you're looking to donate crypto funds, like create a project or support projects, whatever, and kind of give them a list and explain what it's about right before they commit to seeing all the channels. I don't know if that makes sense, but
that's
like,
what's the giver and maker does that. It actually says what they do for donations, making them or giving them. That's the first choice for the assign roles part.
Yeah, I think I could maybe like come up with some suggestions or like user personas or something, right? Is that what you mean?
yeah, like if you're here because you're a project, these are the ones that'll be interesting for you and a tiny little description of each. If you're here because you want to support crypto, these. If you want everything, this, whatever, But I was kind of guessing in the beginning, because I came in not actually a part of Giveth. I just really liked, I heard a talk from Lauren, and I liked what she was saying, so I came in, but I was really guessing. I wasn't really sure. So maybe because I was such a newbie too.
I put like a screenshot here in the chat of what it currently looks like. So it does say like, I'm looking for projects to donate to or I'm making donations on Giveth, like it does kind of have this. But I'll see if Marco has any suggestions and see if I can make it better. It does feel like something that we're just gonna be chasing our tails on.
But the other problem is you have a difference between the outside people and the contributors because they're different levels of what they need to see too. So it makes it more complicated.
Right. Okay, I'll do a little bit of research and see what I come up with. All right, we've got about 1 more minute to the top of the hour, so I just want to make sure if there's any things that I missed that we have time and that everybody gets over to the comms call on a reasonable amount of time. All right, well, if you feel called to lead this call next week or the week after or the orientation call, touch base with me. I will be happy to kind of do some pregame planning with you or whatever you might need to feel comfortable. Just let me know and I'll get you signed up.
Awesome.
Thanks everybody for coming.
Thanks, Ashley. Take care.
Fuzzy.
See you in
Bye-bye.
comm.
Great job as always. See you in a minute.